The November 1st, 2016 Port Committee meeting to order. Sort of roll call.
Councilmember Bartholomew is absent. Councilmember Black?
Present.
Councilmember Burt?
Present.
Councilmember Trufant Salvan? Present.
All right. If you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Item 2, old business. We have none. Item 3, new business.
3A, discussion of moving all parish boat harbors under the port's responsibility to operate.
All right, so we discussed, this was brought up at one of the council meetings. I don't know if you guys had a chance to review it or discuss it in your internal meetings, but this has been brought up a couple times. I know some folks from the government as well as external folks has mentioned about putting parish boat harbors under the port's responsibility. Can you guys just weigh in what your opinion on that is?
Oh, it's good. Okay. I think it's a fallacy when we try to put together what we call work-related projects, in this case, because it's water. That'd be analogous to putting the water treatment with the port. It's not what we would call a core competency of the port, and by that it's something that directly supports the strategic vision and the strategic plan. If you were to look at something that would be a traditional parish project that I think would be a great fit for the port, would be those items that are core competency, such as infrastructure for the bridges, where that it would support the ongoing movement of cargo, the tunnels, the Bell Chase Bridge, the Peters Road complex, and these are things that that would promote the good and the well-being of the parish, and it also would promote the good and the well-being of the onward movement of cargo, which in turn reflects back on the greatness of any port. But this idea of parish boat harbors under the port, it sounds like it would be a good fit because it is a play on words, but it does not fit within the core vision, the port vision. I throw that out there for discussion.
Anybody else have any comments about that from the table? I mean, it sounds like the boat harbors are really just marinas, I'd imagine, in essence.
And if I can add, Mr. Black, I'm not certain that our tariff fees can be used to subsidize boat harbor operations. Our tariff fees are charged to provide services to the port users.
Right.
Okay, so that's one thing. And our tariffs are based on operating with using interstate commerce and foreign flag vessels. That's where most of our charges come. I would look at the boat harbors as being more of a recreational / fishing, and really not, germane to the purview of the port.
Anybody?
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that it's the position of the port staff that it does not support bringing the boat harbors under the port umbrella, because I would not have been a supportive, would not be supportive of that anyway. But I wanted to know what was the reason for it, why, and what's the purpose. Do you all remember who brought this to the table?
Someone from the audience brought it up as a financial savings to the parish, being it was a maritime kind of activity. Would it fall under port's jurisdiction? So I think it was someone from the audience that brought that
Well,
up.
I heard it from the parish government a couple of times, too, asked about it. And then when the member of the audience asked about it,
Somebody from the council.
it was nobody from the council, I don't think. I think it was somebody from parish government. And then when she brought it up again at the council meeting, we said, well, let's discuss
It's worthy of discussion, but it's like I say, it's not a core competency of what a Port Harbor and Terminal District is.
All right, any questions or comments from the audience on that? All right, we'll move to item B, discussion of state and Jefferson Parish Delegation Tour. I'm sorry, Barbara.
It's okay.
It's so easy just to read 5
I'm
words.
used to it. Feel free.
Not saying your job's easy, I'm just saying. Anyway, so yeah, yesterday, I went on a tour put together by Representative Chris Leopold with the help of Eric Sundstrom. On that tour was Representative Kenny Havard, Senator Paige Cortez, Ken Dugas from Engineering, Nelson Capote from DOTD Regional Lead for the state, and Jefferson Parish's Chief Engineer, Mark Hughes. We had a breakfast at Little G's in which the sheriff gave a presentation. A couple other folks gave some presentations, and just a discussion about what Plaquemines needs, not only the port but the parish as a whole, in regards to Department of Transportation and those types of issues that the state can help us with. We then went over to the Bella Chase Tunnel, where we were able to walk through the tunnel. We spent about a few minutes in the tunnel just having them take a look. And I want to mention, too, that these two guys are on the transportation committees and have a lot of weight in the House and Senate from the state level. We had them take a look at the tunnel. Obviously, it was kind of a ironic situation. We were going to go over the bridge and make a U-turn and come back to the tunnel. The bridge was up. So yeah, we wound up having to go from the southbound side up north through the tunnel. But it was in pretty bad condition. I mean, it was leaking pretty bad, and we were able to show them exactly what we're dealing with. We had the commander of traffic division there who told us about how many accidents they've had in the tunnel since July. I think it was upwards of like 15 traffic accidents, pretty substantial. We then went over to Jefferson Parish, where Sheriff Newell Norman allowed us use of his asset, his helicopter. We flew from Harvey down in the coastal canal and went to where the Peters Road bypass is proposed to be. Spoke a little bit about Phase 2 and Phase 3 and the projections on funding for that. We went to the south side of the Naval Air Station, talked about the joint use, showed Walker Road, showed where that's going to be. We headed south down the river, talked about some levee projects in Oakville and Oakville south to Judge Bend. Went past over the levee breach across from P66. Passed over Arlington, talked about CHP. Obviously went further south, showed them the port property, where it began, where it ended, looked at the back levee and canal issues on the port property, discussed that a little bit with Ken. Went further south, took a look at the Magnolia property, went as far as where the 4-lane ends, or the 4-lane begins again in Port Sulphur. We talked about the 4-lane project there through Port Sulphur. Came back up, stopped at Woodland Plantation, then headed back, went back across the river and looked at Mardi Gras Pass, looked at some the East Bank levee issues. We started with D, obviously, and worked up through CB and A, and then pretty much headed back towards Harvey. So it was a good event. I think those state leaders really got a good idea of what we're dealing with here in Plaquemines and some of our issues and needs and things that we want them to help us with. So it was a good conversation, good dialogue, and that's about it. I'm not sure if anybody has any questions or comments for me on that delegation or that, but I know Sandy has another one coming up, and I guess you can talk about it.
May piggyback on that. We were going to have it yesterday, but two key folks that were going to be there, Sean Wilson, the Secretary of DOTD, and Troy Carter could not make it. So I spoke with Eric, and he said, I think we got to go ahead and postpone yours. He said, but Chris was going to go ahead because it's hard to get Havard and Cortez down there. And by all means, I said, do it. We are slated for 7 December. We're going to kick off with a breakfast, and I was going to invite all of the Port Board for the breakfast. I'll give a presentation, and then I will have 4 board members to go on the bus. We will end up back at the Woodlands for lunch, and once again, I'll bring the whole board down there for lunch. But I think y'all got a great taste of it yesterday. It's so much better when you can get boots on the ground versus getting a PowerPoint presentation and, someone illustrating on a PowerPoint, here's the port, or here's RAM, or this is where Peters Road is going to be. But when you get out there, and certainly from the vantage point that you have with the helos, to see it and see the connectivity and look at the traffic and how it can be diverted around the Naval Air Station and up Harvey Canal. So that was a great thing that y'all did, and I hope to compliment that on the 7th. I'll be getting out invites to that. 7 December, Pearl Harbor Day. We'll kick off at 7:30, and we'll, after the breakfast at the Tauntaun, we'll take 4th Street, 4th Avenue?
Yes, 4th Street.
4th Street, and go down to
Peters.
West Vigo, where Peters Road starts, and start and just illustrating, where the rail takes a 90-degree turn, where it comes down Harvey Canal, where it would cross the 2 canals and go around the Naval Air Station, then come back around and pick it up at Peters Road. So a very good day is planned, but I'm glad y'all did that. I'm really glad you got the air assets to do it, because
it was
brings
definitely
on a whole new dynamic. We can see
highly
that.
beneficial. Any other questions or comments? All right, with that, we'll move to item C.
Joint use helicopter and warehouse grant at the government complex for PPSO and PPHTD.
So I'll just open it up and then kind of turn it over to John. Basically, the sheriff's office and the port share a few functions. One of them being the helicopter and also the mobile command center. There's really no place to store either right now without spending money on outside facilities. We have a large piece of property, obviously, at the government complex. There's a potential for a no-cost grant, maybe a no-cost grant, but there's a potential for a grant for the port and the sheriff's office to do a joint grant. We've looked at a couple different places with the chief pilot, with some folks from the port and sheriff's office. And if you look right across from engineering department towards the Woodland Bridge, kind of in between engineering and I guess that'd be the southeast side of the property. Between, what is that, the engineering department and permits.
Yeah.
There's a good portion of ground that they could utilize. That's never really going to be utilized. There's no future development proposed to be there. Currently, they have the government has a storage, like a 20-foot fence with airboats and some other things in that, but it's going to be right in that area. So I have a resolution drafted I can send to everybody just to take a look at, but it's basically just to approve a cooperative government agreement between PPG and the port and the Plaquemines Law Enforcement District to be able to lease a certain portion of ground, which I just described, within the government complex. So anybody have any questions or comments or anything on that? And otherwise, John, you...
Yes, Mr. Black, there is a possibility that we may be able to secure some port security grant funding for this project. And Donald and I need to re-engage with the Sheriff's Department as far as planning this facility. Okay, we've done it from the 5,000-foot level. It's time to start zeroing in. We have a little time, and that grant applications, well, the final date of grant applications is around or about April 25th of 2017. So we do have about 6 months for preparation.
Okay. And you would need this resolution in support of
Mr.
that?
Black, what I would do, let me engage with Freddie as far as, let's get the CEA prepared
Okay.
and do it as an attachment to the resolution for
Right.
council review. And just as a sidelight, I've engaged Mr. Roche as far as the mobile command center. We've been back and forth on a CEA for a while. I haven't approached the council yet with it, and with the understanding that we want the CEA agreeable to the port and the PPSO before we bring it to the council. So,
Anybody have any questions from the table?
I would just request that we get this copy of this legislation in advance so we can.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna send it out. We just date Freddie and them just sent it to me, I don't know, a few days ago. They had a couple issues with it that I didn't really not agree with, but that needed to be added into it, but.
No, just give everybody input.
Oh, no, I am,
We were also looking at the possibility, as far as the helo goes, storing it at the Naval Air Station. I know the pilot is newly retired, and he still has contacts there. If we could do that, that would be
Yeah, I think he
another
exhausted
option.
that option.
He did.
As well as the fueling option, which kind of pushed along the need for a warehouse, a hangar facility on this complex. So, and maybe it's not totally exhausted, but that's my understanding.
Okay. I'll run that to ground, Mr. Chairman.
and one other, and I have to do some research, Mr. Black, in that I'm not sure we can do construction on property that's not owned by the port. It's possible that a long-term lease will work, so I just don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, those are things that.
Right, we
can all
have to
hash
do some
out.
research,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Any comments from the audience? All right, move to item D.
Business exposure sponsored by PPHTD and the Gazette.
We started last, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, we started at our last port meeting showcasing a business that makes a living here within the parish and on the river. The feedback we got from the folks that work at CHS, they really enjoyed it. It was a chance for them to show the folks of the parish what they do there. I think it was a good appreciation that was borne by our board for what they do and the amount of folks of our parish, fellow citizens that work there. And we're also going to couple with the local paper to showcase a lot of their employees at work and let the folks in the parish understand that this business is here. It employs dads, moms, brothers, and sisters. It's been there for quite some time. It's very important to obviously to the families, but also to the well-being of the parish. I have two other businesses that are lined up for the next two meetings, one being Daybrook Fisheries. The next one in December would be Stolthaven. And it's been, again, well received from the folks that I reached out to. They think it's just a fantastic way to showcase what they do to the public.
All right, anybody have any questions, comments about that on D from the table, from the audience? All right, move to item E.
Zoning and permitting, BG discussion.
You guys asked to put that on. You want to start off?
Yes, when Bob Pender, co-CEO of Venture Global, came down to visit a couple of weeks ago, he really wanted to zero in on getting those processes started. And I told him that we're ready and willing to assist. I believe either Mr. Burt or Ms. Savant is going to quarterback that, but that would be up to the chairman. But they're very interested in getting that zoning moving. So I had our our attorney reached out to their attorney, and we're having a meeting tomorrow as far as preparing what we can to begin those discussions.
All right, I'll open up to the table. I don't know if anybody has any comments on how we can go about. You guys?
What is the zoning that requirement that you're seeking? We're looking, let me understand this first. Are we just looking to rezone the area where the VG is going?
Well, I mean, that's the
That would be
thing.
up
So,
to you.
and that's why Charlie, I kind of defer to Charlie because he championed the legislation before on the NOLA and RAM property. I think it's the same. I think we had discussions about this
Yeah, it was.
a year and a half ago,
It was-
that this was going to be,
The floodplain zoning designation is what was being changed. It wasn't specific to that property, it was for the whole zoning district. But I guess what Ms. Salvan's saying is, could we only, I guess, change that area, but then that may be labeled a spot zoning, and I'm not sure if we can actually do that.
But I think that's the concern, and that's the concern for a lot of folks in that area. Because if you move into a residential area, the port property is totally different from Murder Grove, Ironton area, and you do that rezoning, you affect the neighborhoods, the residents. So we need to be careful in doing so, because I keep hearing Mr. Sandy, in a lot of his examples, he keep referring to Ram Terminal. You know, if I have anything to do with the Ram Terminal, it's never going to become a reality. Because, first of all, it's not a good fit for the community. It's an unsafe, I mean, it's been proven that it's unsafe. The market for coal is at all-time low. So, you know, we need to just be mindful, and my whole deal is, I'm more concerned about residents and people. And I support business, but at the same time, we need to be environmentally safe,
Absolutely.
you know, so that's my take on it.
I mean, so I guess the options are you either,
Well, I think it all ties back into the litigation with the floodplain and the constitutionality of the floodplain ordinance and the council voting. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that case is reopened. So, you know,
Are you referring to the one with Mudge?
Yes.
Like Mudge?
my understanding is that case has been reopened. The Attorney General has been served, so I'm not sure what the course of action on that is now. So I don't know how VG is going to look at that, but
Well, that's something that y'all, as a port board, or probably more as a parish council, that's in your swim lane. I'm simply saying that Venture Global is coming, and these are things that they need to have to locate here. So let's roll our sleeves up and get serious.
yeah, you know, I'm not too certain if I have no problem changing the zoning for a particular location. I'm not sure if we can legally change in a floodplain. Maybe we can. I'm not sure floodplain is just a classification like any other classification is. So I'm assuming that it may be received as spot zoning, but I think we have to just look into it a little bit further. But
I think so.
anybody have any comments from the audience on that?
Who do you want me to work specifically with on the council, on the port board?
I mean,
For this.
it's Miss Audrey's district,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I would say. All right. Item F,
Budget meeting update.
just give us the date, Tuesday, the
Yeah,
22nd.
it's the 22nd at 09. We will be getting one-on-ones or small groups together with board members to review. All the board members
22nd.
received the booklet last week, and they have all been posted in the parish libraries
And on the website.
and on the website.
this is before the council meeting, the council.
I think the council's on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The council's on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I think this is the first item up on Tuesday, which I think it only took about an hour last year, if that.
Yes, sir.
All right, any comments from the audience on that? All right, item G.
Update on Camden and Associates regarding the Attorney General opinion.
Yeah, I'm not sure you guys put it on there. I guess to discuss whether or not, so myself, Councilmember Burt, Councilmember Edgecombe, Councilmember Lapine, get all campaign finance reports done by Camden and Associates. Camden and Associates is also the CPA firm that is up for contract renewal. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I guess the issue is whether or not the four of us can vote on it. I mean, we've had a couple legal opinions on it we asked Shane Landry and we asked Danny Garrett. I don't read legal too well, but to me it sounded like we could.
Yeah, I mean, what they said was there was a separation between campaign finance and personal finance, that the ethics code allowed it as long as they were separate, but it would be up to the individual council member at their discretion, but there was nothing unethical about it, is what
Yeah.
both the
Well,
AG's opinion...
we just put it on there because we presented it, and
Right.
y'all need to discuss it internally, and
Right.
so it's more of a holding bookmark than anything else.
Right.
It's in your hands. We're just ready to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I know we need to move on it, I think, next meeting, so I'm sure we'll have a final decision from legal and,
So did you guys seek an Attorney General opinion?
no, so actually, Charlie and I had a conversation about it because we knew we both, I mean, the red face test, we both knew we got services done by Camden and Associates. So we said, man, can we even vote on this? So we said, let's ask Danny Garrett, our attorney, asked Danny, and Danny came back with his opinion. And through research, we were provided an ethics board opinion, which was given to Danny, and then we wanted Shane to take a second look at it as well, have our parish attorney look at it. So he took a look at it, he opined on it, and pretty much used the ethics board opinion that pretty much stated exactly what Charlie said. So no, nobody sought an attorney general opinion. That's wrongly stated on that. It's actually a ethics board opinion, not attorney general opinion. But they're the body who makes that decision whether or not it's ethical or not anyway. So I'm assuming that their opinion is.
Yeah, but I guess it's up to an individual, but I say personally speaking, if I was, had these guys as serving as my financial bookkeeper or whatever, I would not feel comfortable with making a decision on a contract or anything of that nature for that firm. So, I mean, I guess it's it's a personal call, but I still would have problems with it. It's either or, in my opinion, if I'm going to sit on the board or sit in a position of making a determination on this company, I would not want to have any type of ties to it. That's what we just say.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I just kind of equate it to the port has a contract with the local hardware store to purchase equipment, supplies, etc. I mean, should I be prohibited from going shop at that hardware store? I don't know. I mean,
We could get into it,
Yeah.
into Lynn, Mr.
I just want a legal opinion on it.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I
all.
would recommend, because I'm saying down the road, you could, that all sorts of questions, I'm sure are gonna
Oh, yeah,
arise,
they always arise.
so, just to be safe.
And that's why we're going through this whole process of getting both legal teams to look at it, as well as the ethics board to.
Right,
Look at their
because
opinion.
I would be safer that you guys,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
myself, at least to get an attorney general's opinion, because an opinion is just that, an opinion. But
Right.
to have an opinion of an attorney, he can,
Right. All right, anybody have any comments from the audience? Mr. Russo?
Are the services that you're getting from Canada paid?
I have to go look at our campaign finance reports, whether or not we paying,
What Danny's feedback was, you could either pay them or be an in-kind donation to your campaign finance It can be either or.
Right, it could be, but the question is, what one is it?
I think mine's in-kind donation.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain. I mean, it could be in kind, it could be paid. I'm not certain. I mean, you're talking about a few dollars, and it ain't much either way.
Right. And this subject has come up over the years, and I'm inclined to agree with Ms. Allen that perception is not good. You have someone handling your political campaign finances and also employing them to audit the books that you oversee. So whether it's ethical or not, it doesn't look good to the public when you're sitting in the audience knowing that that's going on. And that's been a perception for several years around, which led to a lot of people having distrust among public officials over the years, including the last council came up, and that's why I guess it's an issue to be looked at from an independent perspective of each individual person and what your conscience bears.
Well, that's why I think we've been very transparent through this whole process, and we haven't voted on that contract. And I mean, Mr. Russo, I'm not sure what else I can do at this point, but we've brought it up at 2 separate meetings. We've brought in multiple attorneys, and sought ethics board opinions. So I think we're doing every bit of our due diligence to make sure we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, and my comment really is, it's what's in your mind as to what you think is the right thing at the end of the day. Whether it's legal or unethical, it depends on your personal conscience. Whether or not it is legal, then you do it. But in the minds of a lot of people in the public, it's unethical. Whether it's unethical from the ethics board, but the public, I want to express this one more time, over the years has looked at that as being an unethical transaction.
Well, I appreciate your guidance, and I'll reflect on that. Anybody else have anything for G? Ms. Ivy, hold on one second.
I'd just like to say that from my years in education, when an ethics issue comes up, usually if it's even called into question, then you err on the side of caution. That's just my advice.
I appreciate y'all's advice, but that's, we really didn't have to put this out in public. We're just letting people know kind of what we're doing with it, so, thank you.
If you don't know yourself personally whether or not you're paying for it or in-kind contribution, who's going to know? You have another CPA?
You have a personal CPA.
Okay.
Mr. Canman and Associates, they do my campaign finance reports. You can have them donate an in-kind, you can pay for them. I'm not certain exactly if I paid for them or if it's an in-kind. It's on my campaign finance disclosure. You can look it up. If you see them on there as an in-kind, it's an in-kind. If you see with a fee, I paid it. But I don't have my checkbook with me. I don't have all that information in my head. Neither of them is unethical. Neither of it is illegal. So I'm not too certain.
So you're saying as long as he's just doing your campaign finance reports, you're okay, not your personal?
That's what
Right. The way that Danny, he talked to somebody at the ethics board that said as long as they're not doing any personal finances, you're okay. But if it's campaign finances, you're fine. If personal, there's issues.
I think you should look at Mr. Edgecombe then. Because from what I've seen, Mr. Giovanni is doing his taxes too.
I don't have information on that. I
yeah,
can't
I mean,
speak for Mr. Edgecombe.
that's up to Mr. Edgecombe. I mean,
I'm just saying, because he filed late on his taxes several times and so noted in his reports.
He should have to vote no.
yeah, it's be up to Mr. Edgecombe. I don't
He'll have to vote no.
try to sway the voting of any other council member.
It's up to y'all if y'all want to go with the ethics and AG's opinion, so. This council member should approach that, not me, if you have some legal issue right now.
I don't understand the question. But anybody else have anything else on item G? All right. Item 4.
Approval of the minutes of the September 6, 2016 Port Committee meeting.
My offer.
I'll second.
We have an offer from Ms. Sullivan, a second from Mr. Burt. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bartholomew is absent. Councilmember Black?
Yes.
Councilmember Burt?
Yes.
And Councilmember Trufant Salvan?
Yes.
All right, passes 3-0. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll offer.
Mr. Burt offers.
I'll second.
Ms. Sullivan seconds. Do we have a vote?
Councilmember Bartholomew is absent. Councilmember Black?
Yes.
Councilmember Burt?
Yes.
Councilmember Trufant Salvan?
Yes.
All right, the record reflects the vote is 3-0. The meeting is over, adjourned at 5:35.